Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. You know it, the day after videos, they are always taking a bit more time before being uploaded. For what reason? Because I really try to work on them, trying to leave out all the emotions of the game and being as objective as possible, trying to use the balance, what went well, what went wrong, because in 90 minutes, not everything can go wrong, not everything can go well, that you win, that you draw, like yesterday, or that you lose. And that's what we'll try to do today, trying to be objective in what could have been done better, because you know it, when we don't win, there are a lot of things that we need to do better. So I'm asking you, if you want to put a maximum of like in today's video. Let me see that you appreciate these videos that are a bit more studied than the news video. Then don't forget to subscribe to the channel to make that community bigger and bigger. And of course, I'm really curious to read your comments here in the comment section. In the day after that Federico Gatti was again MVP of the game, well, Juventus, they decide to announce the comeback, a really appreciate comeback, the one of Giorgione Chiellini. No, he will not be the coach. No, he will not be next to Gatti or next to Bremer in the center of the defense, but a new role has been created for him. Relations with national and international football institution is what he will do in the role of head of football institutional relations. He will work together with Maurizio Scannavino, so not having any impact at today with Cristiano Giuntoli, with Thiago Motta on the team. He will not make the lineups, just to tell you. He will not be there to explain the defenders how to defend or how to man mark. That's not the role of Giorgio Chiellini, but he will represent. He will be an ambassador, a really important ambassador of Juve, representing Juve when he needs to go out of La Continassa, of Vinovo, or out of Torino, when he will have to speak with the national institutions, the international one. He will probably be there when there will be the Champions League draw, for example. He will be the public relation to present the Bianconeri as much as he can. So best of luck for Giorgione Chiellini. I'm totally confident that he will do that extremely well. And we will come back on Giorgio Chiellini at the very end of this video so that we can really close the circle. But now we need to speak about the game of yesterday. Empoli 0, Juventus 0. I always told you that I was worried about Empoli game. I was really worried about this game because you like it or you don't like it, it's opening a mini cycle of successive game. Empoli, PSV in Champions League, and then Napoli at home before the other game, because we play 6 games before the next international break. And I always said it, that's the starting engine. We need really to start well so that we have beautiful, positive vibes for the other games more than negative vibes. It's true that yesterday the draw brought us more negative vibes. I wanted answers, and I didn't want our boys to enter that mini cycle of games with more questions than answer. And actually today we have more question than answer. When we saw yesterday the starting lineup, well, I asked all the people, who are you curious to see? And a lot of people told me we want to see the new ones. Douglas Luiz. A lot of people said Koopmeiners, some of them said Kalulu. We want to see how he will replace Savona. Why is Danilo not playing but Kalulu? We need to understand it. Cambiaso again there as a left back in his original position, the position of Como. But a lot of people said Koopmeiners, Nico Gonzalez, Douglas Luiz, the new ones. And a lot of people said this is the strongest lineup that Thiago Motta could put on the field, not taking care of PSV or Napoli, but really thinking about this game only. It was the strongest one, and it's true that after the game, well, the big question is asked by Tutto Sport. Tutto qui. Is that it? Is that really it? Because it's a different 0-0 than the one against Roma. If we know that against Roma, we just brought in a Koopmeiners, Nico Gonzalez, Conceição, and we all said they just arrived, they never trained with the team, so they are actually doing what they can. And with time, with training sessions, staying with Thiago Motta, we will see their improvement. It's a 0-0 where Thiago Motta really in that second half, putting these new players in, he really wanted to win that game. He really tried to win that game. Well, now it's different, because a lot of these players, they were at La Continassa, they worked with him, and it's not Roma, but it's Empoli that we were playing against, a team that was unbeaten so far, but Juventus knew perfectly how they were playing. They were able to study them for 3 games, and that's where a lot of Juventini are a bit sad about. Is that it? Because Koopmeiners was there from the first minute, Nico Gonzalez, Douglas Luiz, Kalulu. and all the other players. And that's where we have the question. Then, Corriere dello Sport is going with clean Motta, referring to the clean sheet, because it's a record defense where Juventus, in the 4 first games of Serie A, we didn't concede any goal. We are still there with 0 goals scored. And that's one of the positives. One of the negatives on the other side is the other reverse of the medal, the fact that Juventus è a secco, a dry Juventus that can't score, because it's the second game in a row that Juventus didn't score. So what are the positives? What are the negatives? Let's start with the positives. The positive is something that I asked Thiago Motta and boys since the beginning of the season to do better. Starting the game in a much better way than we did against Como, that we did against Verona, that we did against Roma. 3 games for Juventus in the first 15-20 minutes. Well, we actually gave the ball to the opponents and we were waiting, studying a bit, not really taking the lead in these games, where then you start the game towards the 20th minute. And I said, pay attention, because that can be a problem, because you never know. Sometimes you can even concede a goal in the beginning and then it's too late, just because you took 20 minutes of the game to really understanding. That's, like 1/6 of the game that you're just throwing away. Well, yesterday we had that first answer, with Juventus immediately starting the game, immediately taking the lead for 10-12 minutes. So we see some progression there. Then, of course, 66% of ball possession is something that we were asking when we are playing, especially against these on paper smaller teams, that Juventus is taking the lead. It's not possible, like in the other season, the past season, that Juventus, against whoever and whatever opponent, we are just giving them the ball. We wait for something that will possibly happen with a counter-attack, with a set piece. No, Juventus is really taking the lead, and we see it with a 66% ball possession. Also, pass accuracy was something that I was asking. I said, if I have a magic wand, I really want our pass accuracy to increase, because not only we need at a certain moment to dominate the game, but the passes is the thing that you are learning when you start playing football, when you are 5, when you are 6 years old. So it is unacceptable at a certain level, at a certain moment, to accept that we are just throwing away these passes when we recuperate the ball. Well, we can say that there is also a beautiful improvement also in the game of yesterday, with 91% pass accuracy, and then also not only in our field but everywhere on the field we are increasing much more respective to the other season. 86% in opposition half, 78% in the final third. So we see a Juventus is much more precise and much more, can we say, qualitative? I think we can. Kalulu yesterday, one of the most discussed player, because we know it, we wanted Calafiori, we were pissed off because we couldn't sign Todibo. Kalulu was seen not as a plan C but really as a plan E, F, G. We were not sure about his physical conditions. We were not sure that he was a player that even wanted to come to Juve. Yesterday, he was one of the really beautiful surprises on the field. A player that played 90 minutes yesterday. We need to say thank you to Pierre Kalulu, because at a certain moment in the first half, we are risking a lot. And luckily, he's on the opposition side. He's on the right side, closing on that second post before a cross is maybe potentially finishing in a 1-0 lead of Empoli. So beautiful. A lot of people will forget about that one, but that was really a crucial one. Then I really loved how he was playing defensively, how he was also in the second half even more involved into the game. Grande. Beautiful Kalulu as a right back. I was really happy for him. And then, of course, we need to speak about the other things, about Federico Gatti. Yesterday, again, MVP. Like he was against Roma. I need to say that if we are looking at the 4 first game of the season, Federico Gatti has been really the best one with consistency. And I think it's totally correct to continue to give him that captain band, because yesterday, if Kalulu saved us in the beginning of the game, well, in the end of the game, yesterday, Gatti saved the 1-0. The 1-0 of Empoli. Again, Juventus risking in the latest minutes of the game. And that's also something that we have to work on. The latest minutes of the game that are a problem at Juve, because if it's 0-0, if we are not comfortably winning 3-0, we lose a bit of focus. But yesterday he was a giant. 15 duels for Federico, 12-1. 5 aerial duels, 4-1. 7 times the possession won, the player that won the most possession. Now, really great Federico Gatti. And these are all the positives that we had to talk about. But then, of course, we have also the negatives. And yesterday, of course, after a 0-0, we have more negatives than positive. We recuperate all the bigs. We find all the bigs, and we already mentioned them. But unfortunately, Juventus lost all the goals. And this is a bit the paradox of the moment. We were really, when we were looking at this squad list, crying like, we are not enough. Look at how many players that we never heard about that are coming from the next gen, from the youth academy. We don't know about them. We have like 2 strikers. We are not enough. We are not complete. We have no midfield. But we were doing beautiful performances, sometimes with Bangula, sometimes with Savona, sometimes with this player, sometimes with this player, and we were really happy about the performances. Then, from the moment that you have all the new ones, Koopmeiners, Nico Gonzalez, Conceição, etc., 0-0 against Roma, 0-0 against yesterday Empoli, and that's a problem because we find our bigs, but we don't find our goals. Yesterday, 15 attempts, only 3 on target. If I remember well, there were like 2 dangerous ones. The header from Federico Gatti and then that shot from Dusan Vlahovic. Second 0-0 in a row. When I told you that I had more questions today than answers, this is really what I wanted to avoid, because you enter the game against PSV in Champions League, where of course in the beginning of the game you will ask yourself, how will we score? Will we be able to score? Is it something that is a problem for us, Juventus? Is it a problem? Is it really a problem? Or can we do something and it was just a coincidence against teams that were closer? Especially because then you will have also a Napoli that I can guarantee you, depending on what they will do today, but they will really come to Juventus with the chance of their life to go over Juve and taking the distance with possibly already 4 points in our home, which would be a total disaster. So more question than goal. And of course we have the question of Dusan Vlahovic, that according to Gazzetta dello Sport, Tuttosport, according to myself, but I think according to a lot of Juventini, was yesterday the worst one on the field. Looks like Dusan Vlahovic, he doesn't grow in the mistakes that he's doing. One of them is, for example, at the 15th minute when he's falling into the box and he complains and he cries and he's not happy and he's against the entire world, against the referee, and he forgets that we continue to play. He forgets that he is the number 9, the one that needs to bang the goals in. And then he disappears. While he started really well the game for 15 minutes, he totally disappears until the second half, where he has a huge big chance against the goalkeeper. Yesterday I didn't even speak too much about it because I didn't watch really seriously the replays multiple times, which I did today. And today I can tell you that he misses it. Yesterday I said you have the goalkeeper. No, yesterday he missed that one. And this is not acceptable for a player like Dusan Vlahovic. Then Gazzetta dello Sport is saying the solitudine. The fact that he's lonely there, isolated Dusan Vlahovic. He's not able to go on target, but the new ones, they are not able to find him. Yes and no. Yes and no. Because we were able to find him in certain moments. You see that 30 times he touched the ball, 20 passes. Well, he only succeeded in 12 of them. So that means a 60% pass accuracy. Also there, in final third, 10 passes where he misses the half of them. 5 missed passes. It's a player that is imprecise, that is struggling with his first control. It's a player mentally that goes out of the game when the game turns. When it's more difficult than he predicted it, he goes out of it. Maybe he was thinking that it would have been easier against Empoli because he already scored 3 times against them. Maybe he wanted, to come back before the big game on the scene, forgetting Roma. Yesterday he sees that it's much more difficult, that they are much more closer than he was probably predicting, and he goes out of the game. And it's a thing that we need to solve. We need really to solve it. The other negative things, of course, is Koopmeiners. Koopmeiners that we were expecting at least this shot from the distance. One of them from Koopmeiners was a total disaster. For the rest, we didn't see the shots from Koopmeiners, but we didn't even see Koopmeiners really in the game. He had been blocked really well by Empoli, that blocked him, that made him a shadow. He became a shadow. So yesterday we didn't see the impact of the new Koopmeiners at Juventus, like we didn't see Douglas Luiz. Yesterday Douglas Luiz was really, really, really a ghost. Not even playing really centrally in the midfield, giving that creativity, playing with that first touch. Yesterday Douglas Luiz was really a negative note of the game. The question, of course, that we have today about Douglas is, did he understand that he is at Juventus Football Club? Did he understand that it's not only playing and doing well, but it's also winning and giving everything? Looks like Douglas Luiz at the moment, I don't see him with that fighting spirit, winning centimeter by centimeter, meter by meter, ball by ball. I need to see that from Douglas Luiz. I need to really see it. Otherwise, it will be complicated to see him more and more and more as a starter. And if I'm harsh on Douglas Luiz today, it's because I counted a lot on him, but I believe also Juventus Football Club investing a lot. The only one that I'm not blaming from the new ones that started yesterday is Nico Gonzalez for what I said yesterday. He comes back from international travel where he had been injured at the head, at the heel. He scored a goal with Argentina. He played 2 games. He came back 2 days before we played the game. It's the one that probably trained the less with Thiago Motta, and probably yesterday, because Conceição was injured and we wanted Cambias again as a left back, he really sacrificed himself for the team to say, okay, I am available. If you need me, I am available. Of course, the performance of Nico Gonzalez was absolutely not good, except of that touch of magic at the 55th minute, I think, where he's able, 50th minute, when he's giving that ball to Dusan Vlahovic, where he misses it big times, Dusan Vlahovic. You know, yesterday in pre-game, we were analyzing the starting lineup, and we said with how Thiago Motta is lining up the game with the starting 11, he will probably ask Yildiz to stay extremely wide, Nico Gonzalez to stay extremely wide, and then counting, because he knows that Koopmeiners and Dusan Vlahovic would be blocked and isolated, counting on Douglas Luiz and Locatelli to enter. That is the plan of Thiago Motta. The mezzala left, the mezzala right, so mezzali that enters the box and give some superiority there, so that with some passes, with some crosses that are coming from there, you are able to fill that box. Well, this didn't happen yesterday. After the game, Thiago Motta also said the crosses that we gave actually in the box were not dangerous enough. We were not in dangerous enough zones to give these crosses. Then my question, of course, is if you're expecting Thiago Motta that Yildiz is taking these crosses or Nico Gonzalez, maybe we are wrong. And this is why yesterday Thomas Maklouf in the pregame said, Beppe, you know what I'm expecting? I'm expecting maybe that Cambiaso, instead of entering centrally the field, he's going on the wing so that Yildiz can give some support to Koopmeiners. So with 3 players, Dusan Vlahovic, Yildiz, and Koopmeiners, you have the superiority there. And you're unpredictable, especially with the Kenan Yildiz that can dribble his men from the outside, from inside. Well, this is probably something that I blame Thiago Motta yesterday. With the starting 11, you had a plan A that didn't work. We saw it immediately. And he was not able in the first half to immediately find solutions to go towards that plan B, to involve Kenan Yildiz. I start already to read some criticism towards Yildiz. I don't agree with that one. I think that if he has been a bit more invisible than what we were expecting, it's also because we were not able to find him, and also because he's doing a role that, according to me, it's a bit too much wide there on the left. So he will grow. We need to have patience with him. But when he had the ball, he was the only one that was creating superiority thanks to his dribble, unmarking himself, unmarking the other ones. Then he needs to also become better in the final decision. But according to me, that's what I'm blaming Thiago Motta, on top also of doing 4 changes. I have never been a big fan of 3 changes simultaneously from the times of Sarri, but if I could excuse Sarri because it was a newness, the 5 changes simultaneously, or 5 changes a maximum, because we were after COVID. Now we are a few years after COVID. So when you're doing 4 changes, you need to also take into consideration that some of them will not enter immediately the game, and if you do that with 4 changes on 11, guys, we have about 33% of the team, even more, and then you risk, because yesterday Fagioli didn't enter really well, Bangula didn't enter really well, Kefren Thuram didn't enter well, and we are così cosà. So we have 1.5 player on 4 that entered well. We're not able to change the game. So Thiago Motta will need to learn about that. We finish with 2 news, the good news and the bad news. The good news is calma. Tranquilli. You know that I love historical data, because according to me, history always finds a way to repeat himself. When we are looking at the 4 first games of Antonio Conte, why not Allegri but Conte? Because Conte arrived as a young coach, really young coach, at the first time in a big team. Because Antonio Conte comes in a team that has been with a revolution, a new foundation, a total new Juve. We start with a fantastic, beautiful 4-1 against Parma, and then we win against Siena. After that, against Bologna, a 1-1. Against the Catania, a 1-1. Where we had 8 points in 4 games. And that's where we start with the 5th game against Milan, a big Milan, because they were the Scudetto holders. where we start really seeing Juventus doing extremely well. At the end of the season, we didn't lose any game. Of course, we were not playing European competitions, but you see also Conte started in a slow mode. After a beautiful start of the first game, it was a slow mode before finding himself and the way how to play and to integrate, changing from a 4-2-4. That's how we started, towards that 3-5-2 at a certain moment, not even against Milan, but against Napoli. I believe it was in the month of January. So we need some patience, but beautiful things can happen also here with this event. I'm totally confident. Look, I am not worried for the future. I am worried probably a bit more for the immediate moment, PSV and Napoli. Then the thing that annoyed me yesterday, and again, I repeat for people that wants to find controversy where there is no, it's not because of that we did 0-0. We did 0-0 for all the negative things that I just summed up. But yesterday, of course, there is something that we need to speak about. Makes no sense to look like we are blind. The fact that yesterday, at the 75th minute, Pellegrini should have received a red card. There is absolutely no discussion about that. After a beautiful tackle of Gatti, he goes towards Gatti and he gives him the header on his face. Of course, it's not the header of Zidane against Materazzi, but it's still a reaction foul, a violent reaction foul. It's not something beautiful to see, especially for the kids that are watching television. And if we are listening to the referees before the season, so a few days ago, they were telling us, pay attention, because this season, zero tolerance for violent conduct, for violent plays. It's immediately red. We will see more red cards this season. If you see that Bremer and Kefren Turam receive a yellow card for nothing, I really don't understand why this has not been a red card. That could possibly have changed the game. Maybe not, maybe yes. We will never know. But what if, and that's the question that you need to ask yourselves closing this video, what if it was Gatti that gave that header? The same power, the same intensity. Let me know if honestly you would have booked with a yellow or expulsed with a red. Let me know. That's probably what I request to Giorgio Chiellini, and I told you that I wanted to close the circle. Giorgio Chiellini will now be responsible for national and international institutions. Well, I would love Giorgio Chiellini, I'm not saying publicly, but at least making himself and his voice be heard in also the referee institutions, because this is not acceptable. I would love to be judged correctly and fairly, and not like we saw yesterday, because it's not acceptable. Thank you for your patience for that long video. I hope you enjoyed it. I try to speak slowly, and that's probably why maybe it's a bit boring, but I think it's really an important video. So put a maximum of likes. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Grazie, forza, Juve.